I'm mad. I'm really mad. Kalshi teamed up with CNN and became the news media's official prediction market partner. Not that there should be an official prediction market partner for CNN, but in this video, if this doesn't mean anything to you, I'm gonna go over why this is extremely fucking important and why you should understand what this means and what it means for you, because it does mean something for you, and what you should do about it. Basically, I'm gonna start off, what even is Kalshi? Why should I care? So if you don't know, Kalshi is a prediction market. What that means is that it's a betting website. It's a, I was gonna say degenerate betting website. I'm gonna try not to qualify everything I say, but just know, like, I have less than favorable things to say about betting markets. They are one of the reasons why people are so poor right now, and they are like the end game of like capitalism. These are terrible. You should not bet. If there's one thing you should remember from this video, is you should not bet under any circumstances. I don't care if it's sports, I don't care. And you should even less bet about like politics and things that are gonna happen. If you know poly market, Kalshi is basically the exact fucking same thing, and even more unhinged in certain aspects, as we're gonna see. But basically, that's what Kalshi is. And CNN is a news media. You might know them, they're a TV org. They do, I'm not even gonna say journalism, they're supposed to do journalism, but yeah, and they're teaming up with Kalshi. And you might think, what does that mean? What that means is that Kalshi data is now used on CNN. So just think about that. You know how polls or actual data is used? And by the way, I have a problem with polls, but I'm going to talk about it later. Polls are not good. They're not good at all most of the time. But this is like way worse. Instead of polls or data, CNN is just going to use Kalshi data to do its reporting and to support its reporting. So what that means is that Kalshi is going to be the data for CNN. And when you hear someone make a claim, they're going to be able to back up that claim using Kalshi data. Editor's note, of course, CNN is going to continue to use polling. What I mean here, because I misspeak horribly, is that they're going to be able to use Kalshi data instead of polls. Of course, they're not going to ditch polls. Kalshi is not going to be their only source of information. It's just going to be like a very big source of information, and one that they're very incentivized to use, because the more Kalshi data they use, the more it's going to be a huge ad for Kalshi, and so Kalshi wants them to use that data. So although they're not only going to use Kalshi data, they're going to be incentivized to only use Kalshi data. But I think they're still going to use polls, but they're not going to be incentivized to use them as much. Now, as you may understand, Kalshi is just a betting website. So they're going to use betting odds to support claims that they're making in what's supposed to be journalism. So just so you understand how fucking insane that is, because there's a lot of layers to it, we're just going to look at this. So I don't need to play this clip. All you need to know is these are the chances of the Republican or Democrat candidate winning in the recent Tennessee election. There was a recent Tennessee election and the Republican won, but it was, in my opinion, actually like a pretty big Democrat victory. And let's just look at this screenshot. So you can see it says 15% chance win for the Democrat and 68% chance win for the GOP, and they're going to win under 10 points. What this screenshot shows is the betting odds for both of these on Kalshi. So what this means is on Kalshi, I didn't bother like finding this page. It existed, like it did. They used as evidence of public opinion the betting odds on Kalshi for the Democrat winning, which is 15%, meaning 15% of people on Kalshi bet that the Democrat was going to win, and 68% chance that the GOP candidate wins under 10 points, meaning 68% of people bet on the fact that the Republican was going to win, but they were going to win within 10 points of the Democratic candidate. So for example, they might get 56% of the vote and the Democrat gets 44. Newsflash, that's actually what happened. And it's very good for Democrats because Trump, as you can see here, won in the state, in this district by 22 points in 2024. So what that means is that this deep red state, Trump won it by 22 points. So he got like 72% of the vote in total. And the GOP candidate now didn't win by 22 points. He won by like 6 points. If you lose 16 points between 2024 and 2025, that's a huge loss for Republicans. In a deep red state, that's absolutely insane. If they're losing so much ground in deep red states, what does it say about purple states? You know, like there are going to be blue states fucking tomorrow if the Democrats don't blow their chances, which they might. I am harping on this point, but it's because I need you to understand that like this creates a financial incentive on CNN's part. And I already fucking hated CNN. I hate CNN. I watch CNN and they never provide any good analysis fucking ever. There's no reason to watch CNN if you want political analysis, if you want to understand what's going on politically, if you don't follow it, basically. This is worse. This basically, I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's no reason for them to actually give you good reporting. There's only reasons for them to make you bet on this website now. And this is not polls. This is worse than polls. But that's what I'm going to get into later. First, I just need you to understand now, we're going to move on to how fucking evil the founder of Kalshi is, how evil these websites are. And I think he just, now that we're allowing evil people to just say whatever, they are just saying the evil part out loud and they're not ashamed. And we need to bring shame back because like this is insane. Just watch this video.
The class.
It's pretty much already like a close to 100 billion a year of asset class, right? Like it's pretty easy to imagine a 10x from here. Like we haven't even started. It's been a year. I think.
So, if you didn't catch this, he's talking about Kalshi. He's saying it's been a year. We haven't even started. Basically, we're already like the biggest prediction market out there. We can only 10x from here. You know, like it's only growth from here. Listen to what he says next.
A very large number of people care, much larger than traditional markets, and I think retail as a pie has just been growing in the US, and I think it's going to keep growing. It's growing in the stock market, but it's growing outside of the stock market. The long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion.
The goal is to financialize everything and to create a tradable asset out of a difference of opinion.
And I think if you do build a general purpose exchange that can resolve differences of opinions on anything, like the TAM is quite massive, quite a bit bigger than the current TAM of the stock market. I think putting aside sort of the retail trading and the institutional trading product, like there's sort of this separate product.
So he's saying the most money that's to be made, that's even bigger than the stock market, is to commodify a difference of opinion. You need to be able to make people put money where their mouth is, so to speak, to create a different, to create a financial incentive to, one, have a difference of opinion, and two, have that difference of opinion see realized in the real world. And like, this is the kind of shit that's so evil that it's gonna kill millions of people. And I'm gonna illustrate very practically that I don't mean this theoretically. I mean this like the most practically. But you need to understand, this guy saying this is as evil as like Stalin or Hitler or fucking all of those guys. This is a level of evil that's beyond fucking comprehension. And I'm gonna go over exactly why that is. First, though, I need to basically talk a little bit about polls and why I don't like polls. I promise it's important. I have a master in journalism. I spent 2 years in journalism school. It's like a French system where I was working most of the time, and then 1 week per month I was in school. And in school, that week was fucking sport. Like, we were running around interviewing people, and we were making shit. We're making shit that journalists would. And I learned a lot. And I also learned that the view I had of journalism before, the reason why I hesitated so long to go into journalism, was right. Journalism is fucking corrupt to the core. There was a time where journalism in France and the US was good, but now journalism is just unabashed propaganda, and they know it, and they don't even they hide it in France. They try to hide it here in the US, but they hide it even less. And one way that the media is propaganda, meaning it basically creates opinion instead of being a reflection of it, is through polls. So I can't go too much into it because this video will be too long, but polls have become something where they're used to create opinion instead of really reflecting it. I think you can really see this through the last elections, 2016, 2020, 2020, 2024, less 2020. And even in France, they didn't predict that Jean-Luc Mélenchon would arrive third with so many votes, because in the end, when you look at polling places, how they're funded, and how they operate, they are backed most of the time, basically always, by capital. And by capital, I mean like big companies, like rich investors. They are the people behind this, and the polling companies oftentimes offer their services to companies to do market research, for example. And oftentimes when you see a poll on CNN or on things like this, the polling place is a company in and of itself, and they have an agenda. They have investors, they have like a company backing it, and so they want to see a certain and this, I'm not talking like baseless conspiracy theories. Like, this is just how polling works. And they often want to have a candidate like win, a certain candidate win. And what they'll do is like they'll team up with news organizations, and they'll do polling for a candidate. And what you'll see is like a news outlet say like, oh, there's an election in like 2 years, like way too long before, like we can't like predict anything, but the news media is going to be like, oh, this polling shows that this person has the most chance of winning. And so what that does, when like a news organization tells you like 3 years in advance, 2 years in advance, the pollings show that most people prefer this candidate, is it fabricates opinion. Because now you're watching the news, you're saying like, oh, the election is in a long time, I have no idea who I'm going to vote for, because you're a normal person and you don't try to predict the future like that much, and you have a life. But you say, oh, but like this polling apparently shows that most people prefer this candidate. They're probably a really good candidate, and that's going to influence you to liking this candidate, when in reality, like, the poll might have asked like 500 people in a very like not unbiased way, and the polling is like terribly done. But now, because polls have an air of legitimacy, now you think like you're more favorable towards that candidate. And if you do that every single day, oh, polling show people prefer this candidate, it's gonna fabricate opinion into you liking or disliking someone. This is happening a lot, and it's been happening for even the past 2 years. Like the elections in France, are in 2027. They're like so far removed, but the media are pushing for the far right candidate to be the most liked, basically. They're saying like, oh, the far right candidate is winning in all the polls against every single candidate. Keep in mind that the last election they completely underestimated the left candidate, but that was on purpose because the media fucking hate the left candidate. I'm not gonna get into it, but Jean-Luc Mélenchon is like mega hated in the media and by capital, and they would much rather see the far right win. And I saw it even in the fucking in my master in journalism. Like my teachers, like everyone hates the left candidate, and it's not that warranted. Like it's really not. It's just that it's the only like actual left party that there is still, and they do not want to see that party and that candidate in power. And so they keep pushing polls saying like, oh, he's the most hated figure. He's like, everyone in France hate him. If you listen to TV and to the radio, everyone hates Jean-Luc Mélenchon in France. Everyone. But in the last election, he arrived 400,000 votes away from second place, which is actually fucking insane. And like, it's basically a fact that if people didn't listen to TV, or if the TV and radio wasn't bashing him, he would have been like second place candidate fucking easy. But so many people felt like he wasn't viable that he arrived 400,000, which is not that much at all, votes away from second place, and he wasn't in the second term of the election. Why did I rant for so long about polls? It's because I would take polls any day of the week over this bullshit. This is fucking insane, and polls are like a perfect reflection of reality compared to this. Why? Betting odds are not polls. They're not anything. They're worse than nothing. They're like AI generated shit. Let's take this. I saw this. Polymarket was putting a prediction, and I found the page, but the graph seems broken. I don't know if they took it down, but like this page exists. I found it. It was a betting about Gaza mass population relocation in 2025. How many people, the percentage of people who thought it was going to happen and not happen. If you're thinking about this for like 2 seconds, you understand why this is evil, degenerate, and immoral. 1, because betting is bad. 2, because you're betting about a fucking genocide. Because that's what mass repopulation is. It's a nice way of saying genocide, because if you force people out of their homes first, you can't do that. That's literally illegal under international law. But 2, you're going to cause people to die. Culture is going to die, but people are going to die. Now imagine, it's not just polling. Imagine you have money invested in the fact that, yes, there's going to be a mass population relocation of Gaza in 2025. Now you have a financial incentive to see this happen. Now, you're probably a millionaire if you're betting this on degenerate websites like this. If you're a millionaire, if you're a billionaire, not only are you going to bet, but you're going to give money or talk to your powerful friends, and you're going to make sure that that shit happens. On top of this, oh, by the way, I forgot. On top of this, if you're betting on shit like this, if you're betting on whether the international court, IPC, I forget what IPC is, but if you bet on like whether or not like Gaza is gonna experience a famine this year, or like what Gaza is experiencing is gonna be classified as a famine, if you're betting on shit like this, you're probably a millionaire. You probably have a lot of money. Meaning, like, this isn't polling. This is like rich people betting on shit. And even if it's not rich people betting on shit, it's people that are betting on shit. It doesn't reflect public opinion. It doesn't fucking mean anything. You can be a billionaire and dump fucking millions into this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And now it looks like, oh, everyone thinks like this thing is gonna happen, when no, you're just one millionaire or one billionaire who dumped fucking millions into a betting odd. So you might understand why this is like worse than polling. I talked shit about polling. This is worse because now this is not like even trying to be a reflection of public opinion. It doesn't even have the veneer of trying to reflect what people think. This is just betting odds, meaning this is money. This is people who are motivated to make money on just opinions, who are pushing for a certain thing to happen. How many of those think that one thing or another is happening. I feel like I'm not driving this point home, but this is like the end game of I forget the name, but last stage capitalism, because now we're not even reflecting reality. Like there's this idea that Trump voters are not living in reality. A lot of right-wing people are not living in reality anymore. They think that trans people are abusing their kids every day, and they're just transitioning so that they get attention to get on the government, but also there's not that many in government, but they're just in the shadows. They just live in an alternate reality. Trump is like amazing. He's not doing anything bad, and he's deporting millions of people, but he's also just deporting the illegals. But also my uncle who works at the fucking IRS lost his job, and like he was a good worker, but they're also just firing the bad people. Like they're just living in an alternate reality. And this is just gonna further it, because now it's not even that we have polls who are trying to do propaganda to manufacture opinions. Now it's just like, oh, are you a billionaire and you want people to think like most people think? Like, I don't know, let's see. I'm gonna take an example. Like most people think that like Cocoa Puffs are gonna sell more than like Lucky Charms this year. Just be a billionaire, create that odd, and just dump yes in the Cocoa Puffs are gonna sell more than Lucky Charms. Just dump millions into the betting odd for yes, and now it can go on CNN and they can be like, oh well, people think like Cocoa Puffs are gonna sell more this year, when it's one billionaire who's just like creating like polls out of betting odds. And this brings a fundamental point about the role of news media. I was telling you how news media, oh yeah, by the way, it's not just CNN. There's like a huge censorship on this. If you type like CNN, Kalshi, there was nothing. Like if you type this on Google, there's like fucking nothing. There's this now because it released 14 hours ago, but this happened 2 years ago. And if you look like short with 100 views, short with 500 views, Epstein Files, short with 9 views. It's just, and then like irrelevant shit, and that's it. That's it. There's literally no information about fucking Kalshi partnering with CNN, even though it's like impossibly important. It's the biggest prediction market in the US and the biggest fucking news company in the US, I think, above fucking Fox News. I don't know. And there's nothing about it. So there's like a strong, because CNN don't want the general public to know about it. They want their investors to know about it because it sounds good money wise. But they don't want you to know about it. So there's a huge push to keep this quiet. But what this shows, because I touched on they want the investors to know, they don't want the general public to know, is like what you need to understand. The news media at this point, and this is why I didn't go into journalism, is just the propaganda arm for capital. What I mean, because these are big words, not making fun of anyone, just I'm going to make this simple. They are the branch. They are the communication branch of capital. They are the PR for capital. And what I mean by capital is like what you would call, I don't know, big money, like people who own shit. In capitalism, it's an economic system where you gain the most money by acquiring capital. And capital is assets, it's the means of production. It's basically what makes you the money. It's the factories, it's the assets. It's what allows you to make money out of thin air. The workers work using the means of production, but if you own the means of production, if you own the factory, the money goes to you. That's capital. It's the people that own everything. And CNN is just their communication branch. We talk about like propaganda, we think of the government. The government is just a branch for the powerful people to acquire power. It sounds conspiratorial, but it's because we don't have good conversations on this. It's like the problem is not the government. The problem is how the government is used. And the government doesn't have to be used in a bad way. It's just that for decades and decades and decades and centuries, for centuries, the presidents have been slave owners. And then they were daughters and sons of wealthy people who were themselves wealthy. And that basically never changed, or it changed eventually, but even with people like Obama, you see that in 2008, he just bails out the people that were responsible for the subprime mortgage crises. And then he just perpetuates things like drone strikes in Yemen. These people are just servants or the owners of capital, or both, or they just become like capital owners. CNN now, with this Kalshi relationship, and I'm going to end this on this, is perpetuating that to an insane degree. I'm going to end on this. You know, enshitification, the fact that everything's getting worse, this is basically the end game of enshitification. So companies used to make products that were quality products, and then they realized there's less money to be made in that than in selling products that people would have to replace every year. So for example, like companies made fridges who lasted for a lifetime. Your grandparents would say like, oh, they don't make shit like this anymore. And they were right, because fridges in the 50s, like they were made to last, or furniture. And then they realized, oh no, if I sell a furniture that's really good, they're never gonna buy any. So now they're gonna make furniture that's shitty, like fucking IKEA. It's just like low quality. You make it yourself because that reduces cost. Now you just have to produce the parts. And then recently, in the past decades, companies realized, wait, there's more money to be made in services than in products. And so they started making services like Netflix, where it was still a good value, but you know, you don't own anything, but you pay to get access to shit. And then they realized, wait, this is too costly. You know, like we're destroying culture, we're destroying the world, we're not providing people with anything of substance. Not only are products bad, but they don't even really fucking own anything anymore. There's more money to be made in betting, because betting is basically like a giant fucking hole. Now, in my notes, I wrote, the media is lifting the veil, lifting the mask. It's just a propaganda brush of the capital. That's not it. Nothing is a service, nothing is a product. I wrote it in my notes. Nothing is a product, not even a service, only money in the whole. And what I mean is, like, now you're not buying a service. Now you're not even buying like a product. You're just throwing money in the hole. That's what you're doing with betting. And with betting, like, you can just buy like a betting odds. You can buy data. Like if I started dumping millions into whatever this is, into yes, it's gonna look like more people think that yes is the most likely outcome. And then if a company like CNN uses that as polling data, boom, I just dumped million into manufacturing consent, manufacturing opinion out of thin air. And what this shows is that, one, journalism is dead, but I fucking knew that. CNN's not even hiding it. They're like, yeah, we don't give a shit about like a journalism anymore. We're just gonna fucking bet on the economy, on the reality. But what they're also showing is that like capitalism is working as it intended, but the idea of capitalism that you're used to is dead. And this is like the true endgame form of capitalism. Just throwing money in a hole. It's just betting odds, no product, no owning shit. We're not gonna watch TV to see stats, to see polling. We're gonna watch TV to see what millionaires and billionaires are betting on what's gonna happen. We're gonna watch them bet on whether or not what's done in Gaza is gonna be qualified as a famine. We're gonna watch on like yeah, on whether or not the population is going to be mass repopulated and what millionaires and billionaires are betting for like shit happening. Anyways, it's just like this has gone for way too long. I just need you to know, like, do not bet. Do not bet on fucking anything. Betting is like genuinely evil. You're throwing your money. You're throwing your money down a hole. This is like you're making the Antichrist Peter Thiel richer by doing this, and you're making a lot of evil people very rich. Keep your money. There has never been a better time to just hold on to your money. Yeah, sure, like you can invest it in the stock market, but like the gambling fucking hellhole that is the stock market is just, it's not a place where I would put my money right now, especially since the NVIDIA is worth like so much fucking money. Fun fact, I actually invested in NVIDIA in 2017. Well, I didn't, but I downloaded an app that like allows you to fake invest and see how that money would have done. And like long story short, I think I had like a couple $1,000, and at the time in 2017, yeah, I put basically all that money into Nvidia, and I put into Intel and Motorola. Motorola did okay. Intel did really well, and then didn't do really well recently, and then it's been doing okay, but like not that well. But Nvidia has been insane, and like I basically cashed out in that app. Like I sold my stock because if I did buy the stocks that I did at that time, I would have sold my NVIDIA stock now, and I basically made $400,000. Like I would have made $400,000 if I invested in Nvidia. That's a very asshole thing to say and very easy. But like what I'm saying is like the stock market now, and you know what, I'm talking too much. I'm gonna end it there. Don't gamble. Don't but like watch CNN, but do it for the love of the game and because you want to see what TV is saying, not because you want like facts of any kind, because now even the polls are not to be trusted. Thank you for listening. I don't know what this is. This is Beyond Satire. I'm Linkard and I'm out.